Okay.
I was just bragging up your daughter
Oh, yeah?
and her creative aspect.
It's a, get a poster for taking a selfie. It's up here.
What?
I'm a design it. Look what your granddaughter is capable of. Yeah, you can do anything you want. Yeah, there's no like, you can do like a license.
Okay, that's
He just goes off and goes off and goes. So he just says, like, any favor, step forward, anybody that does, step forward. Well, that's just for boarding off of like public hearings. No, it's for, and it says in there later down. Yes, yes.
Have you
And we got one communication with you.
studied this thing? They want to get a raise.
The, smack us.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna talk about that.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Because they're not doing a very good job of selling it.
yeah.
They're giving no information. Just say, give us our money.
Well, they haven't justified it.
Yeah, they haven't given any information. It's not on their website. And it's not
Yeah,
like-
I'm not even sure how much it is. How much do they want?
They want to go from $20 to $30, no, $50
20 to 50?
over the course of 5 years.
Hmm.
Which seems excessive.
I believe it was, and we carried it over because we didn't make it with the previous school year. I'll double check.
They had a manager there many, many years ago who turned up with a new Mercedes-Benz. They found that he was forging the independent accountant certificate.
Well, that was something like 5 or 6 years ago. The investment case.
Yeah, right.
The record of investment was 2016 was when he was caught. So it was only 6 years.
Will they have another?
Good evening, sir.
I'm sure hope so.
It's about a meeting coming up. Hello, Don and Peter. Thank you.
Well, now I do. Rich, how you doing? All right. Well, and then in the 90s, they had the problem of withholding taxes but not sending it to the government. For 3 years, they were
Well, that was a different one.
Yeah, no, there are two. And there was the investment case.
Doesn't match your gas rate, though.
6 years ago.
I remember approving it, I just didn't know if we were adding all of it.
What I'm talking about, it was 6 years ago. I think it was in the 90s.
Okay, well, that was my thought, too, but then when I looked at the newspapers, I mean, well, the point is they've had serious problems.
Yeah.
So they need to be even more transparent
Yeah.
because of that.
That's my priority.
Mike, what's up with search?
How we doing?
I didn't, yeah. Somebody seems like that's a place they can steal money.
Well,
Yeah.
the landfill up there as well.
Well, yeah. Well, that's right.
You know, you go on the Smack's website, who do they list as the board of trustees? Bill and nobody else. I'm sure he's been gone for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
This happened?
Yeah.
Good evening, welcome to the regular meeting of the Buchanan City Commission. It is Monday, July 25th, 2022. It is 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll give you a law if ever. Absolutely.
Roll call, please.
Dennison,
Here.
Whedon,
Here.
Downey,
Here.
Money,
Present.
Swam.
Here.
Delacorte.
Thank you. Someone would like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make said motion.
Thank you. Is there support? I'll support. Thank you. Can you roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for a special assessment district for emergency medical services through Southwestern Michigan Community Ambulance Service. Excuse me. This is a public hearing designed to hear and consider anyone wishing to speak in favor or in objection to the proposed special assessment of the district and all other matters relating to the special assessment district for emergency medical services through Southwestern Michigan Community Ambulance Service. All persons wishing to comment shall be given the opportunity to do so. The person addressing the commission shall stand, state their name, and direct their comments directly to the commission. In the event a large number of people wish to comment, the mayor may announce that each person speaking shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. Each person shall have an opportunity to speak before anyone is allowed to speak a second time. The mayor may, at their discretion, terminate comments which are unreasonably lengthy or unrelated to the subject of the public hearing. When the mayor observes that there are no further public comments, he or she shall close the portion of the hearing. At this time, I'd like to invite anyone wishing to speak in favor of the special assessment to please make their way to the podium. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone like to make a motion to open the public hearing?
I move to open the public hearing for special assessment district for emergency medical services through Southwestern Michigan Community Ambulance Service.
Thank you. Is there support?
This is Money, I'll support.
Thank you. Put a roll call, please.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes. Sorry. So at this time, I'd like to invite anyone wishing to speak in favor of the special assessment to please make their way to the podium.
Norma Ferris, 301 North Oak. Would you give me a brief description about what you are talking about when you say assessment?
Sure.
I can provide that if you're all right with that, Mayor. So Norma and public, what this is about is a SAD or Special Assessment District. So an area covering multiple townships, in this case, if the other townships who are party to the SMACUS board approved to continue their role in the process. It would be an increase in assessment fee, starting at $25 and going up in $5 increments for the next 4 following years. So it is to cover the costs of the SMACUS ambulance service that serves the area within the special assessment district. So that's what those monies are collected for and then utilized for.
Great question.
Just a question, and I should have brought one of my tax statements, but are we paying currently towards SMACUS?
We are.
Okay.
We currently pay $25
Correct.
per piece of property.
This is for an expansion of the longevity of that program to continue to make that assessment and then increase the assessment amount by $5 annually.
For the next 5 years until it reaches $50.
So is this, I'm
Okay.
should I go to the podium?
That feel like.
I'm Robert Zelby at 424 Fulton. The assessment currently is being, I'm curious where is that being taken from at this time? Is it being taken from our taxes at this point?
I believe it is on your tax.
It does show up
So
on your tax bill.
So therefore, where is this money that's going to be increased to each individual parcel, where that's gonna come from each individual vacant lot or from every lot? Where is the original money is gonna be put forward, where to?
The original ones.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Although right now, if we're paying $25 a year per lot, where is that money going to go to? If we're now gonna be charged individually at a different rate?
So this
Well,
is just a, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
This is just a continuation of what's already been happening, that fee has been being assessed this whole time. What happens is when you write your tax check to the city of Buchanan, we have multiple other tax collectors that we then turn around and cut checks to. The SMACIS, or Southwest Michigan Community Ambulance Service, is one of those additional tax collectors. In this case, it's not technically a tax, it's an assessment, but again, it shows up on your tax bill, so it's similar. So that money, we then cut a check to SMACIS in the amount of what we collect on behalf of all the citizens who pay into that fund. Once they have that money, they use that to pay for ambulance staff, new ambulances, to make sure that there's emergency medical services for our community.
All right, so rather than the $25 you're paying now, next year it would be $30.
Right. Okay.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the special assessment? And did we get any?
We did get one correspondence from James Robertson. He wanted to express his support for the special assessment increase for SMACIS Advanced Life Support Services in our community. I believe this increase is appropriate due to the additional strain the epidemic has placed on their staff and their equipment. In addition, in my understanding, the special assessment rate has not been increased for over 25 years.
Okay, at this time I'd like to invite anyone who wants to object to the proposed assessment. Please make your way to the podium.
Hi, I'm Peter Lisi. I live at 201 Moccasin, and I want to object to this proposal. I want to start off by saying I'm predisposed to support funding the local ambulance service. It's an important thing for our community. I wouldn't want to live here without having an ambulance service. I also am in favor of funding through a special assessment district. I think that's the most fair, because the ambulance service is geared towards people. And so every person in the district, by having a special assessment district, every person in the district sort of pays a more equal amount rather than a millage where rich people pay a lot and poor people don't pay anything. But that said, I'm opposed to this current proposal. It asks to more than double the revenues in a short period of time, but it doesn't offer any justification. They haven't explained why they need it. They send advertising to every household. There have been articles in the newspaper about it, but really, SMACIS doesn't demonstrate why it needs the increase, or tells us how much money it currently receives, how much more does it need, how's it going to spend the additional money. They only give generalities in their advertising. And one of the few points they have is that the rate hasn't increased in more than 25 years, which actually isn't true. And I would note, I think we only pay $20 a month now, not 25. I think the first year the new increase will be 25, and then it'll go up by $5 every year for 5 years. Given SMACIS has had trouble in the past, they've had mismanagement of tax withholdings, they've had a very serious embezzlement case. So you would think that they would want it really transparent and fully disclose all their finances and all their plans. But as far as I can tell, there's been no disclosure. I looked in the commission package, I couldn't find any financial information there. I went to their website and there's nothing there. In fact, their website doesn't even have the minutes, doesn't have the list of their officers, of their board of trustees. They don't even say when the next meetings will take place. If SMACIS was in a really bad financial position, you'd imagine that they'd be broadcasting the information. They really want to get it out there, but they haven't. So, and even more troubling is SMACIS says repeatedly that it's been 25 years since their last increase. Well, I went back and looked at my tax, property tax notices. In 2006, we paid $10. a year. In 2007, it went to $20 a year. So that's 15 years ago. That's not more than 25 years ago. And if it is $25 a year now, then it's gone up since 2007, so it's even less than 15 years. I think we're paying 20 a year now. So what does this error tell us about Smackus's proposal? I mean, this was a quick, sloppy job, little thought, little reflection, certainly inadequate research. They couldn't even get that right. For me, this error alone makes the entire proposal suspect. So I think Smackus should withdraw their current proposal, provide full financial analysis of the current situation, future projections of their finances so that we can understand, discuss them, and then see, do we agree? Maybe we would agree, maybe we disagree. But only then will we be able to make an informed decision about this question. And so if Smackus doesn't withdraw the proposal, then I think the city commission should look against it and make them come back with a new one. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 2 meetings ago, Smackus was here. They did, I'm sorry? They provided a PowerPoint 2 meetings ago, and I have to believe that they'd be willing to share that with us. Maybe we could put it on our city website, or at least have copies. But it did have some financials in there. I'm not sure that they were dug real deep to show us those financials. I mean, they were pretty general, but they did present some financial history recently.
I was here at the meeting, you don't see it.
Right.
Because it was.
But we can see if we can get that PowerPoint and maybe post it on our city website. I think that would be better. But thank you, I appreciate your comment. Anyone else wishing to speak?
I have a couple of questions. So I'm Kim Becker, my husband Randy's here with me also, but just a couple phrases in here that leads me to believe maybe that you've already reached a decision because it has determined to proceed with creating a special assessment. So I'm not sure what that sentence means in here. And that you tentatively determine that all or part of the city share should be moved to the residents. So, I mean, do we have monies somewhere that should be going towards this? Or have you decided to move those costs to the residents of Buchanan? I guess that would be one of my questions. Another question I would have is, it talks about the commercial parcels, industrial, agricultural, but every unit is having the same charge. So if there's an apartment complex that has 6 apartments, is each apartment being assessed $25?
I can attempt to answer those if that's all right. My understanding of it is simply by parcel. It doesn't make any distinction whether there is a single family residence or a multifamily residence. It's just a per parcel assessment, and that there's also no distinction made whether it is zoned commercial, industrial, residential. It's just simply a look at every single parcel that is assessed a tax bill, and then every single parcel that receives a tax bill also receives a special assessment.
So in here it says a residential unit includes each unit in multiple family dwellings, apartments, condominiums, and townhouses. That leads me to believe that each townhouse has an assessment of $25. But what you're saying, if it's in one parcel,
That is my understanding. I would have to ask Smackus to provide further clarification, but that's how it was explained to me.
okay. Yeah, I think that's where my confusion is, because I think, as always, the property owners tend to suck up, right? We're the ones that are going to be assessed more. And I think we all, including people in apartments, in commercial buildings, right? They're all using these sources too, so.
So there is some contention among the farmers. So on the reverse of that, the farmers have the same argument, but conversely, they say, I own all of these properties, they're parcel taxation,
a taxation perspective, and they're picking up a large portion, and they're one person.
Absolutely.
So I think where you're seeing that disparity is the individuals who rent apartments, they have the luxury of not paying taxes, and that they pay, their rent goes to the property owner, and they're assessed the taxation based on their parcels, right? However many parcels, for instance, just across the street up here on Redbud, if their parcels are 10, they may have 300 property dwellers, but the taxation is still based on the parcels that they have.
Which would be how many?
Each, right, so, well, it depends, so if they have a large property, then, you know, if they have 10 parcels that encompass their campus, that they would be taxed on 10 different parcels, regardless of the property residence in that unit. And they're leased or rented, which they wouldn't be charged taxation, that would be included in their tax, or their monthly rent. So to your point, right, so it would be much easier on the residents of, if we're all 4,500, we only have approximately half of that are homeowners, right? So renters would then be assessed, as, from your perspective, then they would be assessed the taxation, but they're not. They don't have a property tax per se.
Not direct, indirect usually through the rent like you mentioned.
Right, exactly. So if that property owner who, you know, $25 per year per renter, then they would have to take that upon themselves as a business owner to increase the rent to adjust for that $5 increase each year.
Do you know how many people rent in Buchanan?
It's a considerable amount. I know, you know, I'm sure that over the next couple, maybe a year or two, based on what our current structure is, then we will have a better understanding of what our renters are, because we're going through processes to inspect rental properties, which helps us increase our safety inside of the city.
So then, just back to my first sentence,
Mhm.
it says, notice of survey given, that the city commission of the city of Buchanan, Berrien County, Michigan, has determined to proceed.
That is correct, that's been voted on at a previous meeting to proceed with this public hearing.
Okay.
And then the final decision is based on the decision after this public hearing.
Okay, just like creating a special assessment district to Dufray and Home Park, so, okay. Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
So as Kim mentioned, we're from Buchanan. I'm a lifelong Buchanan person. We live in 921 Main, and I don't mean to be unsympathetic to businesses such as Smackus, but there's people on your board that have businesses, and they don't ask for special assessments to help their business in troubling times. I don't know why the taxpayer should be asked to pay special assessments to a business like Smackus. It's just, you know, the burden that keeps growing on the taxpayers. I mean, at some point in time, you know, she mentioned the renters. I think that's going to continue to grow. Just, why should I own a house? Because the taxation is getting out of hand. And it's just frustrating. I mean, the cost of housing, you know, and it's good that our house probably is worth more money, but because of that, our taxation goes up. And now this special assessment, you know, wants to continue to go up for the next 5 years. And I think at some point in time, you know, we have to draw a line and say enough's enough, and you know, the money's got to come from someplace else. I mean, Saturdays and Sundays, we got a thriving business downtown. Tap into some of that. I mean, there's a huge amount of money there, and I don't know all the rules and stuff that apply there, but there's got to be something that the city has to give up, because we can't even go down there and park to go to the hardware store. It's just difficult to get into there, and it's frustrating, and you know, people that are on fixed incomes, you know, it becomes very, very difficult for them. And I just, you know, at some point in time, like I said, we gotta, you know, draw a line in the sand, and I sympathize with them. But just like any business, you know, you have X amount of dollars to work with, and you gotta find a way to make that work. And everybody wants raises, I get that, but you know, it is what it is. And unfortunately, you know, I think 18 months or so, I got to ride in one of those nice ambulances from Niles up to St. Joe, and you know, I think the bill was, I don't even remember anymore, I'm gonna say $3,500. And per mile, that's a considerable charge, and you know, maybe everybody doesn't get that charge, I don't know, but You know, so it's not like it's a free ride, because we're paying. You have to pay for their service when you use it. And I wouldn't want to be without the service, I'll be honest with you, but I still think they should be self-sufficient or getting funds from someplace else. That's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a comment?
Yes. Residential unit, I actually own a vacant lot, and I'm actually being taxed twice now for this, because I own a vacant lot. There's no house, there's no electricity, there's no sewage connected, there's no water, but now I'm gonna be, getting $50 a year instead of the 20 or the 40 that I'm actually being now. Why would a vacant lot need an ambulance? I don't understand why something that's vacant would need a service in the first place. That's a question.
I don't have any this.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Right.
Did we get any emails, the letters, the emails in opposition? Okay.
I have a couple questions for Heather. Are you still on board?
No, Tim Gaines took that over when he became safety director.
Okay. Tim, can I direct these to you then?
Sure, I'll do my best to answer them, go ahead.
All right. So have any of the other municipalities rejected this that you know of?
I know a few of them have tabled.
Well,
Yes.
what does it mean if somebody rejects it then? Do they start over from the beginning? Or does that
Well,
community
each
just not get-
municipality has bought into SMACUS and supported them through an assessment. So as of right now, if someone was to reject it, this is just hearsay, if they were to reject it, they would have to figure out how they could fund an ambulance service for their community, for their township, or for their city. Would that come out of the general fund? Someone has to pay for an ambulance service. Would that come from the citizens? Would that come from the general fund? Or how would they be able to afford this ambulance service if we don't do the assessment? Or not have an ambulance service in your community?
Well, you know, we definitely need one, but I don't think we really got the financials that we deserved when they were here, and we weren't prepared to ask the right questions. Here's a little information that I have gathered. This year, they're going to gather $200,000 in revenue. They are near $1 million in the reserves. Are those true?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I'm not sure where you've got those numbers. I can't speak for that. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Okay. Some of their problems are they can't collect on some of the business that they do have.
Sure, so some of the problems that they have is yes, a lot of people have insurance. A lot of people don't have insurance. That's still a cost to the ambulance service. If they pick somebody up, take them to the hospital, that's still a cost.
That was one of the things they mentioned when they were here a couple weeks ago, is that, and I'm just reporting what they reported, was that they billed out $5 million last year and they only received $2.5 million in revenue. So we got paid for half of their charges last year, which is part of their problem.
Right, it's part of the reason everybody who pays health insurance, we pay higher costs because hospitals take in dozens and dozens of people a day who can't pay. They know they can't pay and it's not their fault. Who knows what it is, but we pick up the burden. It's the way it's always been. I'm not saying it's right.
We don't know what their annual budget looks like, but they do outsource their billing for $137,000 a year. They could hire a CPA.
Can I ask where you got your number?
A source. That's why I'm asking the question, if they're accurate as far as Tim knows. They have $600,000 in unbilled revenue right now. Is that something
Again, Commissioner, I don't have those numbers in front of me, but.
And I don't know if that's all, you know, you're on the board, if
Right.
that was something they shared with you guys. I just think
again,
we're missing some information.
sure, and I think that information, we would hope that when Brian and Josh was here, that they would be able to present that to us, and those numbers, I'd be happy to get you an answer for if I can get those and compare them with what Brian has or what numbers is actually out there. I'm not saying that yours aren't, I just don't have them in front of me.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
I just had a question, and I'm sorry, sir, I don't know you.
Sure.
So, who are you?
My name is Tim Gaines. For the city, I'm the Director of Public Safety.
Okay, and you serve on the board of SMACA?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have after the meeting. Okay.
And just to make sure everyone's aware, this public hearing is about the creation of the district only. This is a multi-stage process, so it's gonna be on the agenda multiple more times. I believe there's 3 total steps: the creation of the district, then the setting of the fees. So this part is the public hearing to gauge whether the special assessment district itself should be created, is the question.
Meeting follow up with Brian, one of Karen's comments. I thought the way the district was going to work is if we didn't elect, one of the partner municipals didn't elect to move forward, that this whole district got scrapped and they had to go back to the table. I didn't realize it would leave us isolated as a uncovered territory. So if you could follow up on.
So I'll have to have you rephrase the question, so I'm gonna
So-
ask correctly, I apologize.
If we didn't vote to pass it, I thought it would either, we would remain at our current assessment rate and continue on until SMACA said that we can't make it work, or they came back to the table with a new proposal.
Okay, that wasn't my understanding, but I'll get clarification
Versus
on
just
that.
whatever municipal is elected to stay into it, we're in at the new rate. And those who elected not to take part, we're just out of luck. That's the way can we get clarification on that? Because I would have assumed we would have continued to maintain at 20.
That's not my understanding, but I don't know that for a fact, so I'll get
It would be good to know the
clarification.
answer to that. I was under the assumption that if we said no, that we didn't have ambulance services. So I think
That's
a-
my understanding,
Yeah,
that's how it was
I
explained
think
to
that's a
me
good
by
thing to
Brian.
find out.
That's correct.
That's my understanding also. Again, let's follow up with Brian to
Yeah,
confirm that, but that's my understanding.
thank you.
I mean, that was mine too.
That's kind of scary.
It is.
Was there a
It
sunset,
is.
Yeah.
was there a sunset date on the $20 a year assessment?
Why do you think they get the money?
I mean, how was that going to be terminated?
Again, I'll have to get clarification from Brian on that.
It might be even beneficial to get Brian here for the next hearing, if possible. I'm sure every community is having these same conversations, and Brian is only one man, so. But if we could get him here, I think it would be helpful for him and us.
Could we get some financials ahead of time?
Yes, yep, I'll get those tomorrow.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns, opposition towards the special assessment? Okay, seeing none. Would anyone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Sean makes that motion.
Thank you, is there support?
This is money I support.
Can I have roll call, please?
Downey,
Yes.
Lonnie,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Weider.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open it up for public comment on agenda items only. If you'd like to make public comment, please make your way to the podium and state your name for the minutes. Anyone wishing to make a public comment?
Good.
Thank you. So glad to see somebody else down here complaining. I'm Dan Bianski, 103 North Detroit, Buchanan, Michigan. I am appalled that we're gonna spend another $133,000 on a piece of property or we're gonna tear the building down. And I'd like to see some numbers or hear some numbers on what the projected income is and what possibilities we have. Because as a commissioner, we bought a couple of properties just to tear the buildings down, and they're still vacant. There's absolutely no property coming in, no builders coming in, and I don't see where there's really that much difference. And I did want to touch on the fact that We bought a piece of property on Victory. There was no contact with Bard. That's why I sent you the email I sent you. You're working within the law, but you're spending taxpayer dollars. You didn't talk to Barb. You can't get Barb together. You threw me off of Barb. You're gonna have to consider that tonight. And I'm not gonna change my stripes. I'm not gonna change my stripes. You spent $33,000 to buy a building and tear it down in the highest real estate market in the last 50 years. That house could have been condemned, but we didn't need to buy it. The pavilion could have been built across the street, or no pavilion. They haven't had one. So why all of a sudden do you need one now? We don't have the money. We can't put a detention wall up in the center of the city, and you guys are buying real estate to tear it down. So what's the value of that property gonna be after you tear the buildings down? It's not gonna be $133,000, and it's a gas station. How much is it gonna cost to clean it up? I mean, you guys are in closed session every meeting, and I'm really digging into it, because my very first meeting, we went into closed session, and I asked about scotch and cigars, and I've been digging into it ever since. And so what I'm asking now, do I lose this thumb or this thumb if I violate closed session? Because it's gonna start getting violated. Because you're spending taxpayers' dollars, you're not really thinking this through, and I really wanna see the value in the dollar coming back. I'll just stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment?
I don't have an agenda, but can I make a comment?
You can make your way to public comment, sure. It's on an agenda item though, correct?
We don't have an agenda.
I didn't have one until it was handed to me. So I'll just make a comment, and if you tell me I can't talk about it, fantastic. I'm okay with that. Similar to his, though, with the city and county buying buildings, we live out on, as I said, 921 Main, and we've been told that the county, Berry County, is going to buy what is currently the AEB business, and I have to believe that has a tremendous tax revenue for the city of Buchanan, and so that's all going to go away, I would guess. And because we live where we live, we're concerned what might come in there, being so close to our house and things of that nature. And, just the tax base going away, and why the county and city, because I guess it's going to be a joint project, it sounds like. What intentions do you have with it? So just we have some questions about what's going to happen there, and it's unfortunate there's going to be a huge tax loss there.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a public comment?
Read all that online, go into the city.
Going once, going twice. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Can we roll call, please?
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Down,
Yes.
carries.
Okay, moving on to item 9, scheduled matters from the floor. Consider resolution number 2022.07/424, a resolution to create a special assessment district for emergency medical services through Southwestern Michigan Community Ambulance Service. Determination of any public improvements, approval of plans, and estimate of costs, final determination of special assessment district, preparation of special assessment roll.
So I'm assuming, based on our questions tonight, we table this motion until we get those answers.
That's totally up to the commission.
But by approving it, then it's official on our end, right?
If you approve it tonight, you are creating the district, but it's not final until you go through the remaining steps to set the fees and all that.
That means we're basically saying that we would have our own district, but we're not saying that we're agreeing to have the ambulance service, and we're not agreeing to the fees that they're wanting to charge us. It just is basically saying, this is the
It's one
playground
of
we
the
want them to
steps.
serve.
Yes, you're creating the area in which the assessment will be made, and then the monies will be paid to serve that community with the ambulance service. A subsequent meeting is the process whereby the commission votes to set the fee itself, and whether it's gonna be accepting of the proposed fee of the $5 increase annually.
That's where I was gonna go. Isn't that true? Like the next hearing is on another portion of this.
That's
and then-
fine.
And then the third one is on
This
another.
is your public hearing with the special assessment. The next one is a resolution and set of a public hearing to go through with the financials of it. That fourth meeting, which is the last meeting, that's when you're going to approve or deny that you're going through with the special assessment.
Okay. So we'll really get those financial questions answered next meeting.
You have 3 more meetings before it's final.
So what we're doing here then is just approving the resolution to the district. Move ahead.
And we wanna be in the district.
We're just saying.
Yes, we want to be in the district. All we're doing is approving to move forward on this instead of tabling it or we have or not.
There's still there's 3 more meetings.
Right.
for discussion. Okay.
Correct. Well, actually, sorry, 2 more.
2 more.
And yeah, because their deadline is at the end of August because of how the tax bills flow.
Okay.
So you have the one more resolution and then the final public hearing.
Anybody like to make a motion?
Yeah, this is money I'd move to approve the resolution 2022.07/424 to create a special assessment district for the Smackus ambulance service.
Thank you. Is there support? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
carries.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to reports by departments, committees and boards, starting with public safety report from Director Jim Gaines.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Tonight I'd like to talk to you about setting up some times that our city parks should be closed and when they should be open. As we presented to you guys before, we've got a new ordinance with our rules and regulations for our city parks. So one of the things we want to do is have the commission approve what time we believe the park should close and what time the park should open. This is going to help us where we don't have people in there camping, spending the night in there after hours doing things that they shouldn't be doing. There should be no one in the parks after dark anyway. My recommendation would be that there should be no one in the parks after 10 o'clock. The majority of our year around here at 10 o'clock it is dark. There's no reason for anyone to be in the parks after that. And then open them up again around 6 a.m. I think that would help us, help the local law enforcement be able to enforce these. Also get the word out to the citizens that, hey, the parks are closed from 10 to 6. Also be able to put signage up, so as people are there, they understand and they know that the parks are closed after 10 p.m.
Any questions? Would anybody like to make a motion?
Sean will make a motion to approve city parks to be open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're up.
I think the chief should have to give this one.
Catfishing? You got a catfishing part too.
No more default on this.
Yeah, that's gonna be different hours, so. Yeah,
Good
because of
evening,
it's not
Commissioner.
mixed up.
Again, what we like to say is, coming up next Tuesday, from 6 to 9 o'clock, we're having, again, our National Night Out Against Crime. And of course, this is going the second year since the pandemic, where we couldn't have it during that year. And last year, we had over 400 people that came out, and again, getting this going. Numbers are expected to be greater than that, possibly. But this is an opportunity for us as a community to come together, basically not only to take a stand, not only against crime, but also to stand together as a community in partnership with police and the community as a general, as well as our local businesses have made donations to make sure this event has taken place, not only with food, also financial donations, as well as giving us volunteers to help make this event happen very well. So we encourage you all to come out and have fun with us. of course, if any of you want to come out and join us in getting dunked, that is fine, because that's gonna be a night to get wet, as well as we wanna help you get those water balloons out for the water balloon tossing and fighting. I don't wanna be the only one getting wet. This is a good event, and we encourage all of our community to come out as well as support us. Any questions?
I would just want to commend you and the police department on the job you do. The last time you had it, it was huge, and there was a ton of people there, and the kids loved it, so thank you for doing that.
Okay, thank you, and hopefully see you all next Tuesday. Yes, it is voting night, but come down and eat with us and have fun.
And you're going to be in the dunk tank, correct?
I'm gonna be in the dunk tank, I'm gonna be running around with the balloons.
They can
I'm
have
gonna
a
be
dunk tank
getting pulled by the fire department. I'm going down the giant slide.
I'll bring you a towel.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Where is it now?
Item B, Community Development Report by Director Rich Murphy.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the public. First item is I just want to remind the residents of Buchanan that we will be holding a downtown Buchanan reconstruction project public meeting here at City Hall Monday, August 8th at 5 p.m. This has been a subject that's been discussed at various public meetings, commission meetings. This is the first time we're really extending the public an invitation to come out, hear an overview of the project, understand what the project entails, and ask questions about the projects. Some of the questions we may have answers to, some we may not, but we think it's important that we engage the public at this point to let them know what's going on. A little bit of background, the city, with its environmental engineering consultant, Creighton Newhoff, conducted a 3-year infrastructure assessment from 2016 to 18 that identified critical needs in our sewer and water mains, and much of the infrastructure that runs downtown. So the city has secured significant funding through USDA for this project, and we've begun to assess the scope of the project. The timeline is still fluid. A lot of kind of challenging factors in today's construction environment that are impacting some design costs and timeline. So we may not have all the answers for a little while, but we want to engage the public because it's going to be a very extensive project that will affect virtually every street of downtown. So the timeline for design and engineering is scheduled to go through 2022. At this point, construction is envisioned at least phase 1 in 2023 to 2024. But we feel that it's important to engage the public at this early stage of the project to let them know what's going on and get their ideas and feedback about the direction we're heading. So we're also posting this information on social media. We'll be handing out flyers door to door in neighborhoods in downtown, posted on our city website. So August 8th, 5 p.m. at City Hall. We look forward to good attendance. Any questions about that?
So you mentioned that you have significant funding. Do you have an overview of about what you think this budget's gonna be, and will this significant funding cover that? Or will there be other assessments?
That has been presented in detail by the engineers at a public meeting. Some of this has to do with phasing, where we want to do phase 1 and what the impact is and some of the pricing that's coming in. So I don't have detailed numbers on engineering phase 1 and 2, but certainly we could share with you the overall funding source and amounts that we've applied and been approved for.
So at this stage, the portions that involve the water and sewer, so the underground infrastructure, is the USDA funding. That's a low interest loan to the city of Buchanan that's paid back over time through a bond. And the funding for that is through water sewer fees charged to the residents and their water sewer bills. The portion that covers the road itself, we get, they call it Act 51 money from the state of Michigan that's collected as part of the sales tax. There's a calculation based on population and miles of roadway, so that each road collection agency in the state of Michigan, which the city is considered one of those, gets an allocated portion of that funding each year. We'll be using some of that for the project. Additionally, we've applied for federal funding, and we do have a soft yes to receive that through one of our local area transportation districts.
What's considered downtown? I know what I think downtown is.
I
What is downtown?
hate to be this way, if we could save our questions till after the meeting, or I'll let him finish his.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you more. I have a diagram that might help you out to look at, but that's what this meeting's all about. We want to extend an invitation to really everybody to come down to City Hall and understand what the project is, and begin the process on where the city's going, the timeline, costs, the phasing, and the scope. So I'd be happy to share that with you after the meeting. Secondly, I do have the request to move a project forward, a really exciting project. The Victory Park Pavilion project. Over a year ago, I think Commission and residents will remember we had extensive engagement on a project called A Vision for Buchanan. Much of that engagement had to do with the North Side neighborhood. And what we heard is a lot of feedback that this neighborhood perhaps had been neglected over the decades and experienced disinvestment. There was a communication and a pledge from the city that we would look at this neighborhood as an opportunity to assist with quality of life and economic development. And we began to engage the North Side neighbors with a project called the Victory Park Project. We have executed on some small, but I think symbolic improvements to improve the basketball court, to take better care of the area, and to expand the park with an acquisition. We went through that process. The North Side neighbors showed up every single meeting, engaged with ideas. We drove consensus about what this neighborhood pavilion could look like. We didn't want to build the Taj Mahal. We wanted it to be a nice amenity that would build quality of life in this neighborhood, something that is we can be proud of. It would be, I think, an amenity and an attraction for this neighborhood. So we went through that process. I think last meeting I updated you guys on architecture and design. We engaged with Kevin Barker, an architect who provided all architectural design services pro bono. And the last drawings we received, we had full consensus with the neighbors to move forward. So I'm asking to move forward to an RFP to go to bid so we can build this neighborhood amenity. That's what I'm asking for tonight.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding that? Would anybody like to make a motion to authorize an RFP?
I'll move to authorize Director Murphy to go out to bid on the park pavilion project.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Thank you. Can we roll call, please?
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swan,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next, Public Services Report. Director Mike Baker.
Okay. We have sinkholes that we'd like to bring to your attention. Heather and I have communicated. We are going out for emergency RFP through the city engineer, Matt Green. It's already in motion. but I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on it. We have a sinkhole, potentially, what I say, there's 4 or 5 of them starting on Smith Street over the mill race. There's 2 culverts. There's sinkhole divots started between the 2 pipes as they go across the road. There's one that's already got a big spot in the road, and they're on both sides of the pipe. We have made repairs in the past. I don't feel that it's safe enough to send a guy in the pipes to make a repair. They're in bad shape from all the truck traffic and bus traffic from over the years. So we're going for emergency RFP on that one. And over on Dewey Street, over the creek, there's a hole about that big on the south side of the road, of the bridge there next to Lehman's, about 4 foot from the curb. And then if you go about 4 or 5 feet to the east and round the corner of the patch that you can see was done there before, there's another probably softball size hole on the side of that. I'm only imagining that it's running down the patch and going out the side of the hill. I hope. I've looked underneath the bridge or underneath the culvert, can't find anything that's going into the stream or the creek at this point. But how to repair it, I'm not sure. There's a water main right there, there's a gas main right there. It's gonna need some serious attention. So we're going to move to close the roads, Smith Street after McCoy Creek Drive to Clark Street. It's just after McCoy Creek Drive where you turn to go back to the street department there. So we're gonna close that road there, and we're gonna close Dewey Street off of Redbud to this side of Lincoln's.
How long are the streets gonna be closed for?
Probably until they're fixed.
When is Matt going to be looking at them?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible, yes.
Is this the same sinkhole that we had a problem with a few years back on Smith Street?
There was one that we did repair. It is not the same.
It's not, okay.
Spot. There's, actually my repair is here. There's a spot starting here and over here and over there. And there's 4 or 5 of them within arm's reach of each other on each side of the pipes at the one side of the road.
What are those pipes made of?
Concrete.
How did we patch them before?
We dug up down the side of the pipe and put a patch in, and a guy went in the pipe and patched on the insides of the pipe. I'm not comfortable sending anybody in a pipe. In a 3-foot round hole under the street with water flowing through it, I'm not gonna send a guy in there. If you'd like to hire somebody to go in there, we'll send them in there, but I don't think it's safe.
Did we designate the 3rd Street repair as emergency repair? Is that general RFP on that?
So initially, we were doing it as an emergency RFP.
So we didn't end up doing our emergency RFP?
Well, we did classify it, yes, as an emergency RFP.
I just wanna make sure it doesn't take the same amount of time again, so we can lean on somebody more than we did last time.
We plan on reviewing, vendors with that in consideration of how long this 3rd Street project's taking.
We went out for bids on that first, and then we decided to go to an RFP to get bids on it. That's where we went the first time.
The commission changed the scope of the
commission
project.
changed the scope of the project because of what was coming in '23.
Well, I thought that we got 2 bids on it and they were wildly different was the reason we said you guys need to go back and look at it again.
At the time, it was change the scope of the project. It was a drastically larger scope of project, as per commission recommendation. Initially, when we went out for emergency bid, it was just repair it. The commission voted to expand the scope to include repairing all of the infrastructure so that it matched the repairs that are gonna go through in '23. Rather than just replacing storm sewer, replace also the water and sanitary.
Because you didn't wanna pay for the
Ground
asphalt
twice.
to be done twice, and you'd have to tear out the storm sewer to redo the sewer and the water main because they're deeper than the storm sewer.
So you're continuing conversations with Self tomorrow, is that? No. Okay.
That's all I got.
So they come, since we're already on the topic, right, you're stating, like, when is Selge coming for Third Street?
So that's,
You know, Fenville was the reason they couldn't make it down here earlier this month, but what's the new?
Now New Buffalo's the reason I can't make it here now. So we have to go to the casino to get, to do a job that they quoted a long time ago.
they were supposed to come when they got done at South Bend. They were gonna come on 4th of July. They called us and said, hey, we're gonna open that up on 4th of July, but you have Redbud going on. I said, probably shouldn't do it during Redbud. They recommended we don't do it during Redbud because they're gonna start right here. Heather and I collaborated, talked to Tim Ritchie. He said, hey, if you really can't open up that road, I would appreciate it. They promised me they'd be here 2 weeks later because they were gonna go do another job that popped up and they were gonna come here. Everything worked out perfect. New Buffalo called screaming that they're not there since last November and it's a 3-week job. I asked Scott today, hey man, we were on your docket in July of last year. So we're gonna talk to them again tomorrow and see where we get.
Thank you. Moving on to D, the Barb report.
So I can share the Barb report. Mr. Danviansky had put in a request to be considered for an appointment to the Barb. However, the Barb has not yet voted on whether they would recommend approval of Mr. Viansky's application due to a lack of a quorum at the last several Barb meetings. So as per our typical process, normally we would wait until that board has voted to consider the application and then make a recommendation before the commission takes action. So that's where we're at as per the report. So no action needed at this time.
Okay.
There's lots of action needed right now. Right now.
No. Dan,
You didn't follow the
Dan,
rules.
I'm either gonna
No,
have
you're gonna
ask you
leave
to
me out of
leave.
here tonight.
I'm gonna
You
ask you
didn't
to sit
follow
down.
the rules.
I'm gonna ask
You
you to
didn't follow the rules when you threw me off. Officers,
No.
stay away.
No.
You touch me,
Dan.
you're in trouble.
No.
Tim, tell him.
on. I'm asking you.
Dan, don't,
Dan.
You don't follow the rules.
Let's go.
You don't
Dan,
follow
we're
the
following
rules.
the rules.
No, you're not.
I'm not gonna have a
How
back
can
and
you
forth
throw
with
me
you. I'm
off?
asking you to either
How
sit
can you
down
throw
and
me
you can
off?
stay,
How
or
can
you
you
can
throw
leave.
me off? If he grabs me, he's gonna kill me. You understand that? Don't you?
Then
Because
we
of my
can't
lungs.
walk.
Because of my lungs. No, no,
Let's go.
no.
I'm asking.
You threw me off by not following the rules. And now she wants to change the rules because I called you a coward.
Let's go.
That's the only reason.
Let's go.
Come on. So bogus. You are absolutely bogus. And you're spending so much money all the time. And the rest of you guys let me get away with it. You know I'm gonna be a fucking bitch.
Just so we know, that's a preview of what you get to expect if you're elected.
His name will be on the agenda, or on the ballot, so remember that. Okay.
I do have a question, not to continue this too long, but you said Barb hasn't had a quorum in 4 meetings.
3.
What's going on?
What's that?
What's going on?
So we had a member resign, and we had some new members start, then we had some members who had work-related issues and others who had personal medical family emergencies. Yes, there was, I believe, because we have township members and others who had to attend conferences.
And then actually the last meeting, not this past meeting, the one before, there was something else happening.
We forced
here.
them out
Yeah.
here.
Yes, correct.
We did, and then they tried to
Yes.
move it and we just couldn't, nobody could get
No
on the
one could
same
That was
reschedule.
the
So
two
one
in a
of
row.
the meetings wasn't necessarily that the group couldn't convene because of attendance, it was because we didn't have the location available to convene. And then
I
they
mean,
couldn't be
it
rescheduled.
just happens to be the perfect storm of not being able to schedule everyone at the same time.
Until you storm off in a rage, it puts us in a tough spot when we hear we don't have a quorum, we have seats that are open. And he has an application.
Well, at this
Well,
time,
but
there's
here's
no
the thing,
seats
but here's
open.
the thing.
I believe
So
two.
we
It could
don't.
be anybody.
No, it could be anybody, that's true.
Three non.
But if we're trying to be transparent and we're trying to not have the back room meetings with cigars and scotch or whatever, if we're trying to be transparent, if we're not gonna have a buddy system, then this commission cannot set committees. We have to be recommended who's going to be on the committee.
I agree with that. I agree, but you need them to meet and have a quorum so they can give us a recommendation, that's the concern.
Yeah, no, and it
It's
is
a concern to me that they're not meeting a quorum for 3 consecutive weeks. I love it if we got more members, so I think we can keep blasting it out there. It's incredibly important board. Just, it's important. That's all.
I think that also, I mean, they gotta make concessions on a separate day, right? I mean, the majority of the time when we have meetings and we do it as, according to the Open Meetings Act, we make concessions on a different day.
We can't count on them to make a recommendation back.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. That's the problem with having a group of volunteers who meet. I mean, everyone's got busy schedules. I agree with you saying though, if we can't meet on Monday, maybe we should meet whenever we can that week.
But we also set a precedence that if you're gonna conduct yourself in the manner to which we saw this evening, that it won't be tolerated. I don't care if a board is in love with an individual, if they're disruptive to the point that is the constructive manner to which they're supposed to be doing business is so disrupted by an individual, then I don't think that should be tolerated either.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, that kind of,
and
that's what had him removed, so I mean, I don't.
That's, yeah, I was gonna say, that's exactly what got him removed from that, because I sat in that meeting, and I seen the same kind of actions that were, as Manager Grace did also, you know, and the intimidation factor, you know, because the board is consisted of a couple of women, and that kind of behavior was directed directly at them, so.
I mean, we have a responsibility. There's a certain level of tolerance that, and we become elected officials, right? Now, mind you, that is a volunteer board, but as elected officials, we assume the responsibility to take difficult questions. That's part of it. It doesn't say it in specific language, but it is going to happen, right? Some of the questions this evening, we may not have the answer, and we know that, you know, I would expect in your position, if you were sitting up here, you may not have them either, but if we have the responsibility to get back to you, either through Manager Grace or through ourselves in different meetings. But as an elected official, you have an expectation of how we conduct ourselves as well. And I think that has to be expected from every board. And if that expectation isn't held true, then what good is the expectation? And we pass policies to ensure that that happens, because we don't want people to feel marginalized. We want volunteers, we want applications from Tony, who want to be on the board, right? Who have a vested interest in the city, and not to beat their own drum, but to say, look, this is the responsibility that I'm placing on myself to say, I want to represent the city in this capacity. And if your representation doesn't represent us, then I don't want you on the board, because I don't want that to reflect poorly in the city.
And actually, like Mark said, you know, we're always looking for volunteers down here. And this position's been open for a while. We've got 2 people that applied for that. There's a whole lot more of you, you know, that voice concern and, you know, discontent or whatever. Well, you know what? Grab an application, fill it out, and, you know, we're all volunteers. So, yeah, if there's a problem, get an application, fill it out, become a volunteer, work with making the city a better place instead of always running us down.
Yeah, you're gonna be the parent on the sideline, you're gonna be the coach.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's good to be the coach.
Okay, I appreciate everyone's comments and input. I apologize for the disruption. Moving on to new business. No, we don't have any unfinished business. Let's go to new business. Would someone like to make a motion to go into closed session?
Sean will make said motion.
Thank you. Is there support?
Just anybody else support?
I just want to make sure real quickly that the motion includes that we're going into, that's right, into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, section 8(1)H, specifically to discuss matters subject to attorney-client privilege.
Do you need me to repeat that? For the record?
I'll let the motion reflect.
So,
Yeah, there you go. Motion reflects that.
Did someone support?
Yeah.
We have roll call, please.
Whedon,
yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Hearing closed.
Okay, we will be back shortly.
Guys, can I make one more quick comment? The city of Niles is, they put several $100,000 into a new pickleball court at Fun Park. Niles Township just did the same thing at Fireman's Park. It would be fantastic if we had some pickleball courts. It's the fastest growing sport in the United States. And if we could have something to, bring some folks into town.
We understand you just want the Buchanan Championship title, so it's inside the city.
I know.
I see you, so thanks for coming. Maybe some coaching opportunities.
I love it. I will give free lessons. You put up the court, I'll give free lessons.
I bet you can get some kids on the team. Hey, show them the national presence.
I'm going to state, because I have
Ready for that.
I have
Frisbee golf over in
state a public comment. But if, if you want to go on home and enjoy it.
I wanted to listen to what Grace,
Oh, yeah.
Manager Grace has to say about the AEP building.
Yeah, right. Oh, are they gonna move the city hall?
It's been vague in the newspaper. The HP has had a few articles that just said some city services.
Before we buy that property, is anybody interested in buying it? Put them on the second or third floor, I think. But there are elevators there. Although I remember when one of the officers got stuck in that elevator.
Well, probably a new elevator by now.
Yeah.
I don't know that answer.
Well, maybe.
Was it Otis or Montgomery?
Yeah, oh, I think they were Otis. And the building opened about 1975. And I was there from 75. A few years, and then they moved to South Bend, which was a disaster. The legal department stayed here for
If they go down
as long as 5 years, and then we moved to South Bend.
mechanics.
And then I retired in 1990.
Vehicles we can put on the lift.
And then they got taken over by Ingersoll Rand, which was another disaster. Shouldn't have happened.
I think that they're going to
I was retired by then.
and make them work on police cars and all that stuff.
This one
I think that's their goal, but we have to have.
rode a
something.
tire.
This all came
It's
about
gonna shut down, right?
It's already done.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They don't serve sell gas. They
Oh,
I think it's that way. I bought tires there once.
I agree. Yep, that was a deal that went like that. They bought it and tore it down.
Well, Carla Johnson deals with them all the time. I think the Johnson family
Bought the trophy house.
dealt with them, has been dealing with them, for 50 years.
Yep.
That's your first. I assume they still have their store in the road, which was their original store.
100%.
The road to tire.
Norm.
Yeah, well,
I bought tires there once.
You guys all right? I was just about to come out and check on you. I thought you guys were all tied up out there. I thought Dan had his oxygen around your guys' necks.
When they were up in the road.
No, Dan was, he was pretty out of breath, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I was
I
gonna
went
get
here
sired.
to the.
Well, we talked there for a minute.
2 years later.
Yeah,
Satisfied.
yeah.
well,
Just like to see you both come back.
Hey,
I was on my way.
You think,
Place
this
and
is when you gotta watch right here. Yeah.
Wait till night.
Wait till she gets up there.
You know,
water.
and all the time.
Four guns with a bullet.
We've got those water balloons.
High grade oil.
Right, that was the
He'll
original.
take me up the hill.
Yeah.
Back at the thirties.
Oh, yeah, well, no, we'll have you go up and say, okay, here you go.
Early sixties,
Let
and
it
then
out.
it was
Let it
something
out,
else.
going down the slide.
Or it might have been a series.
I think I got a video of you going down there last year.
Yeah, I didn't, we didn't deal with it.
Oh, man.
Maybe we'd stop in there occasionally.
We're all
Pull the car, but can't.
Yeah.
Only if you can.
Only
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. What are they gonna purchase that for? What
To
are they
tear
gonna-
it down,
What?
to tear it down.
Yeah, but, okay, so you have all this empty land.
Let's wait into the closed session, huh?
Yes,
Yes.
It's an opportunity for development, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I don't know, well, I mean, that was Bill Marx's idea, weren't they gonna put the public works building
yeah, right.
next to the railroad track there
Yeah.
for about 10 minutes, and then they changed their mind.
Yeah, well, these contractors around town get these things going.
Go ahead down.
They don't have any necessarily have any relation to what the city ought to do. So these contractors want a job, building something.
Right. Government's there to make work for the contractors, right?
Well, you're beginning to get that idea. Yeah.
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 What are you doing?
I'm just talking to my son-in-law here about things, about Broden and Tire, buying all that property up there. What are they gonna do with that?
I have no idea, Don. It's gonna be a good question for them.
Building
Yeah,
area
right.
51.
Well, I got comments here. Well, it's not on that though. I'm not prepared to discuss that with them tonight.
We have pictures to prove it.
There's in the weatherization program. How you doing, kind sir?
Pretty good yourself.
I'm doing great.
Oh,
Tomato ridge rolling on.
Well, they're-
Yeah. I saved that
Yeah,
from River St. Joseph. I had an over.
Kicking her shoes off, she's ready to pull it out.
So I snuck in a real camper. And then I went walking by.
Well, I know it's your job to keep the peace and keep people on right, straight and
I
narrow.
know, we have
Not
too
like
much shade, so I haven't. that's
criminal
why-
law, so it's
My
development
steps, yeah, that's a-
of city property is
That's how I
not
grew all
your,
my tomatoes last year.
that's not your proper function.
12 buckets, full irrigation.
And I suppose you're glad of it, I would think.
This year,
Yeah.
not this year. I filled it, they called it, or- Yeah, it was my daughter has planted some weeds, and she calls them banana peppers, but they're clover. She has a couple of other banana pepper plants, things that have regrown, from where the squirrels and stuff have replanted in the buckets. So, yeah. So, and then she's got me some basil. so
Well,
we can
Mr.
put-
Vizansky,
It's also.
Vijansky got kind of upset, didn't he?
He did.
We had so much
Yeah.
stuff going on with River St. Joe, and
Like Harvey said, he just kind of really hurt over that whole bar was
yeah, I have I put an IBC container over there.
kicked off of the.
IBC, that's it. I don't know.
Well,
what it's
yeah,
for,
yeah.
Just, that's what they call them.
Just-
So it's like they all, yeah, they have
He
salmon.
really
So it was food grade.
wants to be involved in somehow, you know.
Yeah, it was summer.
That's why I guess he's running, I said he's running again for commissioner.
Yeah, so I just filled right water, put it up to a little bit. so I
Well,
can
there's
go
a
with
right
it.
way and a wrong way.
It's true, there is.
Last on the lot. Yeah, I'd like to raise it.
And when it gets to be the right or wrong way, you guys have to fix it.
Right, don't tell anybody.
Well, we can't allow that.
No,
You guys don't want that, I mean, everyone has the opportunity to speak their piece, but you can't stand up in the middle of the meeting and start yelling at the mayor.
It's kind of stalled for a little bit because we gotta get some underground infrastructure.
That seemed to be threatening.
Track the water back,
And
that's what we're
that's-
building in or just do.
That's a no-no.
cross-breed.
Yes.
garden hose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a couple of thoughts, but we don't wanna put the big fancy garden in and then have to pick it up later to put water back in. So we're still trying to figure all that out. That too, but I wanna do solar, so so Greg McCarty said that he would come dig up the yard and put the water back for us. We just have to figure out who our licensed plumber will be, so we're getting there. Everything takes a whole lot of time, I find. So, yeah, so that's why I went on Amazon and I bought some of those smart pot big gardens, and then I got the tomato shit to say that I grew something there this year. I got something done.
I hope the squirrels or the kids don't steal them.
That's fine if they want them. If somebody steals them, then they eat it more than I do. Yeah, that's just the way I'm at it. If somebody's hungry, they should eat.
What I always said about my car seat.
Well, did you get two back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will be perfect. Yeah.
Good.
You can sit it with the kid.
It was
That's what we made motor mount.
motor mount, yeah. That's what,
Hey, perfect.
yeah, so.
Yeah, but still, we have to.
Over here on Street side, it really has
Perfect.
some kind of mental problem.
Yeah, it seems to be getting worse, maybe, I'm not sure, but that.
Yeah. Well, his brother takes care of snow plowing for her.
Okay.
I'll talk to them tomorrow, because they have to work, for they had a power. It sounds like they have it.
Okay.
So we have to
You know, he's balanced.
After the trailer.
Yeah.
The honestly, he has criticism, but he just goes.
And I want to tell you, I like Three Oaks Ford. Yes, I really do. It seems like they get us quicker.
They regulate, they do it.
Yeah.
Stuff properly. Campbell's just, you might as well forget going over there, it's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, they do pretty good, but, with,
Well,
too much.
so they approved this. They approved it.
Yeah, I'm confused, because I thought they were already in a special assessment district.
Well, I thought so too.
So, I mean, so they're establishing a new special assessment district, so they can have a new special assessment.
Yeah.
Well, they're going going for more money.
Yeah, but, yeah, I'm confused right now.
Well,
And they were talking about some parcels, and whether each parcel is gonna be taxed. But it says here, the cost shall be assessed against all residential units, commercial parcels, industrial parcels, and agricultural parcels. So,
People are excited because it's like.
residential unit includes each unit in multiple family dwelling. So if you have an apartment of 10 apartments, there will be 10 assessments.
No, I know.
Right?
Or in California.
They couldn't answer that. I didn't know. It's right there. Whereas if you own a farm, one agricultural parcel is gonna have one.
My big old truck loves it. I'm glad I just, basically, I drive home to work.
There's a lot of confusion. That's the reason I could stop.
Big old motor.
Let's get these questions answered.
I started up and I went
Before it's going on. Because, yeah, I mean, I thought they were in a special assessment district already. So why do you have to change them?
So I would drive Kathy's car.
You're not gonna lose ambulance service because unless there's some sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought they just wanted to increase. They wanted an increase in the amount of money they got.
I mean, that's what they want.
Hey, how we doing tonight?
They backed up.
Well, I knew you were there.
But they haven't said why.
I know you were.
Increase.
Yeah.
Just vaguely. Costs are going up. We don't have enough money. That's why they pay an increase.
History of that.
Yeah. Isn't that a good reason?
Well, it seems like you've put down, well, the increase in the cost of ambulances, that's okay.
I can't think of
Increase And the
Like,
wages
slip into that,
of
you
the
certainly have been
drivers,
here, and you know everything.
technical people
Uh,
who go with them.
The orientation should be short.
Oh, I totally should.
It's like, here's the keys.
Yeah, I was, here's the keys, but I was already on the bus before that. Yeah, but then you're
I'm
fixed
Kim
costs.
Moyer, by the way.
But-
Are you gonna remain a public safety director? That's gonna.
It seems like there ought to be an income
So
statement.
they just kind of made Harvey the chief, and
No,
the only public safety
no, that's
director.
the thing.
Instead of me doing both roles, which I couldn't do justice to either one. I don't know, it was kind of letting this guy do the. He's still your boss.
Yeah. That's the money spending.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have both of you.
The Senate and me was wondering, well, did they propose this really high number, so they'll settle for just a 75% increase? And then everybody will be happy, you know, that it's not going up
I
nearly
know.
as much. And it's like,
Quite possible, that's what they're doing.
yeah, that's- that just, if I told you we need information.
This is smack is kind of rocky.
You like how
Experience.
Cookies.
Well, there've been these embezzlements.
That was the side of the line.
Are they just getting more money to embezzle or what?
Pay back. He's up there, which is cool. The embezzlement was like $75,000. He's good for $2 million. That right there. His face was so red.
Yeah, right.
Is that one reason why they need to go up?
Well, yeah, but they send these people to jail. They don't have any money. They spend it.
And they don't have much always anything at the job because go to bid, because the money is just gonna go to somebody else. And why work? So just work a minimal amount.
Kids have read it from cover to cover, but.
So the timeline on that, there was a timeline where they would push.
Is there any group that does
Or they're going to wait.
analysis of ambulance companies?
Other ways.
Push it now, and it would be in.
The thing is, this is a small rural, you know, so their costs are not huge. Everything going crypto.
I think I was mid.
Yeah.
Whereas in the city, you know,
But people who are
Different timeline.
Yeah.
expert in
They could have voted.
You know,
to
it
say,
seems like you ought to get an
Yeah.
analysis from that as to how it's. How you really?
Do all the design and everything else, and then.
you know, for the next ambulance service over Van Buren County.
Yeah, right.
What are the comparable, what are their figures?
There's nothing else designed
Yeah.
matters to the structure of the building.
You know, the fact that they billed 5 million, but they only got 2.5 million is meaningless to me, because you know that all medical expenses is crazy. Because they know they're not gonna get it. They only get a fraction of it.
All these doctors like Dr.
Yeah, in that time.
He would only get, maybe 50% of his billings.
So you double your billing, what do you get, what you need to get?
Yeah, there's no.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what the basic medical premise is now.
That's crazy.
Because it's not a free market. They can't tell you what it's gonna cost until after they've done it.
It was supposed to be health insurance credit. But it got to all the layers.
It wasn't available.
Right.
Commission meeting that I would pay $6,000 a month for my space to rent it to.
Yes. Well, cost
And
control
then
is never working.
it became available.
No, they
Same
don't.
price.
I don't get the idea that
We're looking at.
this city commission has made a thorough analysis of this.
They have such basic, basic questions that have to answer. Surprising. There's no
There was a door on the west side and there was a door on the north side.
To me, that just says, okay, stop, let's
Less than five.
let's not do anything until we have our answers.
This is nice, it's in this.
Until the questions are answered, and then we should proceed.
Well, I can't do anything.
Well, Art Lather was
I
here
can't,
this
I
week.
can't work on equipment.
Spoke to the Republicans, and I talked to him. Because it's an old guy.
I have a barn up on top of the hill that's.
Only about 30 miles down the road from East Camp, as a matter of fact.
So,
He's from
for a guy who likes to
it's
say.
a little town that's on Route 30, about 30 miles from East Camp. But what he was saying, he was talking about state income taxes. He said 39 states put them on around 1967, and all those states have been going down. They got that money and they're right.
Has to travel, winter time, easy, all everything's here.
Because before they just relied on income tax. I'm not even.
I'm not in that situation.
Yeah, well,
We should have never let the price get out.
he says
Until
it's
they
just,
decided whether they were or not.
well, of course, he thinks it's immoral. You're taking money from the people who work and giving it to people who
They've
work.
already got
Well,
contract, they've got.
that's a dumb way to run this.
You don't know what they stole so much.
Now, the cities are instituting their own taxes.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that really irritated me that I have to pay St. Joseph County for the, Indiana, for the privilege of working in St. Joseph County. Or, I mean, hell, I had to pay Grand Rapids city tax. I mean, we didn't even know there was a Lansing, East Lansing city tax.
Income tax.
Right, city. We didn't
Is that
even know
mine
this.
or
Yeah.
$1
Yes, Cleveland had, I told her she did not allowed to move to a city or city. No,
These guys are already getting.
they're awful before this good business. You know, they're. The federal form is sort of the same. State taxes are pretty similar to the federal form. City tax form.
Hey, you know, like, they be right there.
Yeah.
This is where I have a problem.
State tax form doesn't follow the federal. It isn't like the federal form, so it's just a nightmare to them. You gotta learn
A
all
lot
this.
of people don't pay it. Like, for example, if you have an engine from a corporation, that's exempt from the income.
Yeah,
In Michigan.
yeah, but it's not being applied.
Well, they did that to keep the corporate retirees from moving to Florida. A lot of states have done that. Well, it's a great benefit to me. Yeah.
It's like a 40% raise.
Yeah. So, I pay state income tax, I think, on Social Security. And why am I paying it on that? Especially for me.
Yep.
Well, you know, the reason why is they want the money.
You pay a fee, they design your building, they design it, build it, package it up, send it here. Absolutely, change orders are.
Yeah, there's a couple.
The first question is, well, why do you need more money? And that's what they should answer. They don't.
I almost think about
You know, with the government, as much money as you give them, they'll spend.
Yeah, right. That's the trouble.
Well, and that's what Reagan's approach was. That Republican, don't give them as much money, they won't spend it. Balloon the deficit instead. They spent it anyway, even though they didn't have it. Yes.
That's a huge truck.
Yes.
That's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're big time. I just had a truck down there last week.
That's kind of a gift for us.
Yeah. Well, they're doing the thing that I like about it is they service all.
It's interesting, the county
Freight line.
has, for its operation, has had the same amount of money. They give a lot of money since when I went on the county commission in 1995. And they managed to do okay.
I mean, the same dollar amount.
Yeah, right.
Whereas like $5 million then, $5 million today.
Well,
I mean, whatever the number is, but it's the same.
well, the number of mills is the,
The mills, yeah.
yeah, the millage, and so that they get more money. They're not asking to increase the millage in effect.
Well, I mean, Buchanan doesn't either, they're pretty much at the maximum, right?
Yep. But, no, I gotta leave. I gotta get work done because after throw all mail, I was just going from jobs in my head.
Well, they don't have a limitation on Clark. Limitation. The only amount of money they could get is by selling a forklift truck. And if they didn't get the money from selling a forklift truck, they wouldn't spend it.
It's a big issue. It's a big, large square wheel. We have added some stuff that we felt would make it better for us, some sturdy, basically to drag leaves along and make a pile that can go in the baler. We added some wings on the side, but other than that, it's straight up baler. Absolutely.
Emily and I did a little work on your bed. You see the roofing.
Yeah.
So it's pulled out a little bit more from the wall now, but is it okay?
Yeah, sure. Well, the moving, see, when I would fall down, I would brace my feet against it to get up, but I couldn't because it kept moving.
Yeah, so now it should move along the left.
Oh, good.
It won't push to the east anymore.
Yeah.
Because I put a board back there, so it's against the board, so it won't go east. And you could pull it west a little, but with rubber or, you know, on the bottom of the legs. So there's more friction against the floor. So
That's fine.
Well, if it's fixed at the east, I can put my feet against it and grab the rail and pull myself up.
yeah, so go east.
Yeah.
Once or twice over the
So 360
Yeah. Well, that's, you know,
Efficiency is a huge.
yeah.
Oh, it's, Tony, I have done so much research on this and development, and figuring things out, gone and looked at things. My brothers have.
Something with age, I just can't lift myself up as easy.
But at their homes,
I used to.
their homes are so inefficient that they burn extreme
I can't either.
like extreme amounts. My thinking here is, it's a resource that we already have, we are already cutting trees and using part of the resource.
Well, Carla's,
Well,
she depressed that they didn't care. She's about the only one.
that's a different type of.
Door to door.
Yeah. It's
They
not
say,
motion
well,
check.
I think you ought to vote for Frank. Well, like when I was county commissioner, I would go for door to door and ask them. And she's been doing that. She can't get anybody to help her.
They don't take
And
oil.
I can't do it.
They were still correct. We're intubating.
So the actual.
And all this stuff goes on and people, they don't pay attention.
It's 100 by 200, the main park. And it's
There's a lot, too much to hear. They're just not.
Yeah, just a little bump, no, it's a bump out. And so that's, we wanted 100 by 200 clear span, and then everything else.
Well, many of them aren't interested in watching something on television and then seeing the report.
There was no separation. It just didn't pay to put a wall in to have indoors, so we could get like $60,000 a piece.
Well, the Chicago Cubs have a lot of followers in this area, but they block the town. But, you know, some dumb idea, we're only,
Yeah, that's how that's.
You need to go drive to the game.
yeah,
You need to buy a
Boils
ticket.
the water that goes through.
well, yeah, they wanna make you wanna buy a ticket. But they're figuring we're the distance across the lake from, and we're not, we have, it's much further. And so we're not gonna drive through Chicago traffic to that. So,
Well, not everybody can go to the game, but yeah, that's their,
Really?
that's the way they're thinking.
well, you know,
The local blackout.
but, you know, it's not thinking. Yeah,
Yeah, and there's four lines.
stupid, they cut off. Cut off customers, and I understand this, people attending the baseball games is not. Well, that's partly that's inflation, cost of gasoline,
Maybe fewer people are interested.
well, might be.
That's why I've been sitting here thinking like, how do we eat, how do we get some of the efficiency?
This was years ago, but the hockey league, National Hockey League, hockey players were on strike. And so there was a poll, you know, and the most surprising result to them was that 75 or 80% of the population didn't know they were on strike. They didn't know they were running hockey games. They care about hockey.
Would have like,
Yeah.
basically fans mounted with radiators, and they would blow through.
Baseball is like that.
Suck off
Yeah.
the radiator.
Maybe it's trending.
But they have, that's
Yeah,
Niles, that's how Niles does
I
it.
think
Because
it
their
maybe is
building was
over.
already there, and then they put it.
Martha and me
Wood boiler.
were interested.
So if you were looking at something, let me know, and I will.
Somehow Martha picked up this interest in the Chicago Cubs. And we have a lot of fun watching the games. But if she were still alive, we couldn't watch them.
Can you listen to them on the radio?
Well,
Did they broadcast them?
they may, but that, it's like a pocket full of pancakes when they're being televised. That's going back to the 1930s. When around Canton, East Canton, they would listen to the radio. That was better than nothing. Now when they're televised, you know who they
They're
are.
trying to get them.
Just listen to
what they call big ass fans.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So they're,
Those are cool.
so that they
Oh,
keep their.
Cleveland and Jack Green. I mean, going to a gas station, they have it on.
So we're trying to do all the right things, yes.
Here's the lineup, here's the stretch. Strike two.
It's like Sean says all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to the radio when you're driving, when you're doing something else. You know,
Yeah.
You're not,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
not
you
sitting
can,
and watching, but you're enjoying the game while you're
Yeah.
breaking the leaves or something. So there is a place for it.
It's a beautiful facility.
Didn't have much space for it.
It didn't have.
Well, of course, I was brought up with three Indians.
Any space.
Somehow we got,
None. There's no bleachers, there's no out of bounds, this is
Pamphlets, whatever.
What
are they called now?
Guardians.
Guardians.
That dumb stuff. I mean, you know,
Yep.
I don't know, maybe they should have said, oh, we're not named after
Bucket on it.
Indian, so-called Indian tribes here. We took that name from India. We're talking about the Indians.
I can stack them up, and
That's what we're named
you
after.
have to carry it and stack them because the jaws only open so high. But you can stack 2 bales, is what I got. I couldn't do 3 because it would just.
Quite a lot of people from India.
So I could stack 2
But
bales.
I don't
and then-
think
and
they're the
then
ones
put it in
they
a truck, but-
have raised any objection. It's a
So
professional
the baler
Indians,
takes
uh,
long enough
professional
to
American
bale a
Indians.
whole nother bale that
A
they're
certain
not
little
sitting,
sliver of
even
them are
if you
doing
just
it.
put one in the truck after it comes out. It's.
And we buy
I'm
into
telling you,
that
It's the
stuff.
most efficient way.
Well, some of it.
How's the baler work in terms of the leaves are wet versus dry?
It packs a tighter bale. That,
When it's wet.
When it's wet.
Yeah, no, it's dry. Squeezing the yard, it's probably a lot, so.
Yep, it's 4-string bale. Now, we tried a round bale when we first tried.
There's
I
a bridge.
didn't feel like it
And
would
they're stacked.
do it.
You can't.
They
But
can
they're
do
these
it,
hard
will do it, but you have to have the live baler instead of the string
I think
baler
they're called the
for
Guardians.
when it winds it up, because it's
Yeah.
actually there in it.
1920.
So you can do it with a round baler, but we
Yeah.
had a string baler and not
So it's in
that
that
baler.
same
So
spirit.
we couldn't get it to
You know,
really do what we were trying
the
to do.
motif was on
But we
the bridge.
bailed that first year,
So
we bailed
that's
with
where
a small square baler,
they took the name.
somewhere around 5,000 square bales.
Yeah, they were,
Out of this town in.
the name India.
And what are they
No,
using?
the Guardians.
Yeah.
Dragon Trail, they pile it up.
Oh,
and
my
then
father
decay and-
was working as an engineer
Right up there.
in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's why.
I'm gonna tell you
19
that I take my leaves and recycle my leaves and my.
1916. Well, he,
My wife wants me
he
to
was
put it
there
out
with,
front and sell it because my
First
father-in-law
Friday.
has planters.
in 1919, she died. She died
Big planters
of food.
and literally.
Clear excited. Chris speaker.
It's, I
Some
cannot
of
tell
those
you, my niece, last year, my niece came out and got some.
But trust me, I think he was
She said, well, what do you got on it, Mike? I said,
We're just, was the first.
what's that? Sure, they
She was an Indian.
Right to me,
Native American, Maine. And he played in Notre Dame actually before.
I didn't cause any. It's literally just leaves, I mulch my leaves with
He did have the eight.
thermals.
Yes, and that's where
I
the big
does
name.
it, now
It didn't go between seven people. It was between
She needs to bring her back. She was gone. Top dress with this, and it would be like a moss type of thing.
Well, you should spread it. Rotate
Yeah, the reason we say that because I just told her she's got another spot that's pretty scenic, and it's kinda on a hillside, and I said, well, what we should do there is bring in my dirt and then rototill it in, so, because there's nothing wrong with the soil that's there, it's just not rich enough to grow grass.
Right.
So,
That's the stuff that I can do.
yeah,
So we have all the private supervision and drop their things off at Burger King Joe. That way it's use it as mulch and fertilizer and next year's soil.
In fact, one of my trees is out there, Benson, Jeff's office, got in January, got a tree. And I said, where are you gonna take this? It's right across the river.
Well, you come see me and I'll show you what we did with it. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
those are my leaf piles that I've piled.
You still take the Christmas trees?
I'll ask him, but
I got
he is, we're growing some Christmas trees too.
And I have 4 of them now,
Still will.
but they're,
As much for house posts and everything we can.
It'll take about a year for it.
Check with the CSA. I'll ask them the question and then they'll.
Okay.
Well, if you have a lot of leaves and you got some woods or a place to put them,
yep.
keep putting them.
And that's what we've done, you know, you'd be amazed how big that leaf pile starts when I push it all up. I mean, you're probably talking 10, 12 feet high.
And it's been a
Now
lot more time on stuff
probably
than
5.5 feet tall.
Clark executive.
And,
We
you know,
wouldn't spend
I
a lot
probably
of
have
time.
2 or 3
you know,
good dump trailer loads, not like dump truck loads, or I probably have 1 good dump truck load.
So that's the way it is.
So, but that's,
Yeah.
That
nature
part,
of the beast,
they
I guess,
delegated,
but it's
right?
done
You know,
because
oh yeah,
I need
right.
He's making perfect sense.
Okay. That'll work. So I say,
I'm going there to send my tree.
Yeah, well, he had Ken Witt and Dick Jones, they were mayor.
Look, guys,
A lot of these questions that come up are awfully easy questions. And I think the commission itself ought to answer them.
It's pretty darn good for story, but that could be.
Right.
So we gotta figure out how to.
Right.
Everybody
Without
there,
putting.
because that last meeting, it just fell apart. It just fell apart. People that needed to be there, we're gone.
You gotta make sure the safety steel steers.
We go back to the John.
Well, Walter Sherman
He can stay there.
was very friendly
Chris
with
can
Tom.
stay there.
And it's real
Clark
close
picked
to.
up most of the cost of it.
Oh, is it behind that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because they were a big customer.
If you can think of.
Yeah.
It's all set. It was
But-
my trailer.
Yeah, that's right, but the average guy, he was relieved. Cost of sort of like-
Right, well, because you were spreading it over a larger.
Really?
Well, because Clark was,
They were paying a big portion. That's what
and they were playing a part of it, which they were not obligated to pay.
But they wanted to be sure it was there, because it was,
Yeah.
needed that way, I think.
Yep.
So I really don't have anything.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with sewer, the wastewater plant recently was that it was just, had too much capacity. And then it was just too big.
Well, the federal government said, you know, you gotta do some cleaning up here. You gotta have a new three-state system. And we were about the only ones on the St. Joe River. But we'll pay for it. So I said to Witt, well, let them pay for it. We'll get that big system. And so we got it. But over the years, it wore out. No reason to replace it.
Or replace it with something small. That's fine.
Yeah, right. No reason to replace that over fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, so I think that's just a good way to start. And so they're right sizing the new system to do what they've done.
We're always looking for new
Yeah.
stuff, show up the brand, show up the farmers works.
It's a drive-in, and what's nice about it is, it's the same one I'm very close. I just don't think it's the same. So you may not get one, sometimes it's nicer than
You can't make any promises, but I know we're always looking for storage.
I believe Buchanan was the first municipal sewer system or wastewater treatment plant was the St. Joe River.
That's right. 1936. I think it was 36.
Yeah. Well, some of them are saying that they beat some other city by even so, but you know, that's the first.
I want one of the little flip phones.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've already dropped it. It was skipping across the kitchen, I lost it on the farm the other day.
Well, people in Buchanan really like Walter Sherman. Mine turned up my boss, one of the wires Dick McCormick was very close to him. And he became general counsel.
I'm the shepherd of St. Joe.
Well, through him, I knew what Walter Sherman was thinking.
Years over and then I get.
And you too.
All these other things.
Well, Sherman was, I believe he was Jewish, but he joined the Presbyterian Church. He didn't attend church, but he. He was, I believe he was, yeah. I was at his funeral. Yeah. I think he was. They didn't have any memorial, they just had their ashes spread on Lake Michigan.
Again, that's our problem. We just.
I believe George Sparta's monument is at Oak Ridge. I heard something about the family moving his monument someplace.
Somebody gets it because they were going to.
Really understand
Even though Dave Bob Brown, he was just Cooley was yeah, Bob Brown would know because
Bob Brown?
He probably would. I don't know if he ever made it. That's what I can remember. Will tell you that Dan Yancey, because I didn't, is on point.
is your new walker doing the seat is a little lower.
Absolutely.
It's fine, and I can break it. The old one wasn't breaking.
Yeah, you know, I look at the old one, and so on the old one, right here, it had like teeth, and the teeth needed to dig into the wheel, but they were worn away, you know, from use. And so the teeth are worn away, so you can't erase it. There's no way to repair it. This one is it's just a flat bar. And I suppose the more you use it, a little.
Yeah.
Brakes aren't working on this side. I was thinking, yeah. Well, that's not the name.
No, you're in situation. I was like, what? I was like, come on.
Yeah.
No. I was like, I want 42 days.
I wanted mine, when I had it, I was like, no, I wanted where this I was having a brief conversation at work, I should bring it to my house and put it in my car, and then leave, and I'd go out and get it. It's just engaging, but it's, you know, it's just rubbing now.
Yeah, well, that's the design, it's not, design had very strong braves.
I have an engaged now, and there's
No one can come over.
I have to do this, so drop stuff off the porch. And here's.
It's almost like you're like a blade.
They're long.
So it's like, oh, you know, it's fun for a day or two, and then after that, it's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's, you should realize that. It's a great.
It's like,
But you don't use this one so much.
Well, you know, I chances out of the car, and I'm not relying on it to brake. I brake it with my own feet. You know, I don't rely on this brake.
when I first started, with somebody who was, you had 10 days, then they started realizing, wait a minute, firemen, EMS, police, we gotta change that. Yeah, you guys gotta work anyway. You're essential work, but you gotta work.
You know, when I was commander of the headquarters guard, they nailed us in New Orleans. Of course, if anything got a little out of whack, the admiral would come down and take care of it.
Oh, yeah, I know when the admiral coming down.
But it never did. Well, the district security officer was in charge of that. And usually the junior officer there was in charge of the Naval Guard. Yeah. Never any problems.
No.
So COVID happened, and then I ended up here like right after the 2020, and they laid us all off. So they opened for us, executive chef, and I came as versus HO when they first started to open, so I started doing something up there, and kind of fell in love with the place, and that's why I was on third in Maine. Well, I actually got an apartment, I lived in a studio.
What are the rumors? Are they gonna move the city hall up into the old Clark headquarters building?
You know, there's all kinds of rumors, I tell you. Rumors.
Don't know what to believe.
No, Tony,
Maybe
I'm
the-
almost worried about today only, because it could change tomorrow.
Will they move the police department up there?
Shh, don't say that. They already moved that thing
Yeah, I'm
once.
sorry, I mentioned that. Nobody else is with me.
Yeah, that's a lot to do, to move a police department.
Yeah.
That's, I haven't seen the L license, I can't do that.
Well, I worked at that building, yeah, about 5 years.
Yeah, no.
That's not a very, very good arrangement for a police department.
Sure. Yeah, if it was just us.
So you should talk to Kevin.
Well, there on the ground floor, we had
The one that is
the
out.
garages for the officers. And so I had a spot there, I was assistant secretary.
Yeah.
And I drive my car, but I rode my bicycle.
That's a beautiful.
So I used to go out there, I had this garage open, and I'd open the door and go into the officer's garage on my bicycle. Well, they thought that was pretty funny.
This is.
And I was getting my exercise.
Actually, I saw it. Oh, yeah.
But then,
It is.
for the junior office, somebody got an
I just
idea they
use
needed
a-
more office
like a
space.
competition blend
So they
because
kicked us
I
out.
have a pellet
So we had,
So I use a competition.
we had parking
blend
spaces there.
that just goes along with basically
Yeah.
everything that you cook, and you don't have to change out the stuff. But if I was going to do it any differently, this was my next plan, okay? My wife and I talk about it all the time because it's such a good thing. One, I'm gonna do, sugar and cinnamon and eat it with, graham crackers.
You know, it was nice, it was,
Two,
Yes, that's right.
I'm going
Just the
to
anniversary
soften
was
the
just
cream cheese and infuse like onions and, jalapenos, make it back into blocks and
Big wheel to TV and
cool it, put it in the smaller.
Yep. Stuff off the founders line, it's nice and black.
Yeah.
Over the top.
Yes, so that's where, that's,
well, I think,
oh man.
a good thing about Buchanan is that what's being done is transparent. You can find out what's happening. You might be disgusted. You might not be able to influence it.
Yeah.
Right. But this thing with the smells bothers me because something, I always had the feeling something wasn't done right.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is one of that road.
World War, I was looking at an old newspaper.
I just sent it around.
It seems every time there's one of these electricities, it's kind of chaotic. You know, so I'm just here now. So, I think I'm on that, or that's the impression you get from the newspaper. And, you know, like the Niles Township, they take it. Proposal.
So normally you take that, I can,
It's in the newspaper.
But if you're gonna throw it in, dress off or something, it'll have a nice.
Oh my God, that was very nice, like dropping a needle.
Environment
Actually, my son is more interested in cooking and shopping. I like
Weeks ago. Invaded this and 20. Here we go. A couple days ago.
Oh, and grits too.
Oh, yeah.
150%.
So what you do is you put the mustard as a binder on it, you cannot taste the mustard, obviously, you know that, but you can't taste the mustard, and then you put a barbecue or a.
Yeah, Jim Ringler, I know it. But I mean, it's good songs.
Spicy stuff, so I
Yeah,
spice it.
so they just tabled it, you said, we need
Put
more
that on there,
information.
put it in, and then you smoke it.
See, like, if my smoke, I got started fire, you know, when I get the dirt all out, I get all, I get smoke and I agree with them. And then you just back them down, and then you gotta put ice in, put it all ice in.
Oh, that is good.
Oh, yeah, I've never had it smoked, but I love that.
Yeah. So when we helped open leads in Michigan City, we had some awesome, we had a lot of awesome smoke cheese. We would just go light the smoker, even if we didn't have a smoking tank for the day, we just go light it, and then people would turn on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're cooking it.
Yeah.
Chicken wings, oh my god, like, I've been honest to get one at, River St. Joe.
Yeah.
I saw this guy build a nice one, I'm like, we got a nice boat on it, I think we're gonna roll with it, so we can start doing some smoked meats.
Yes.
We're doing our own potato salads and our own stuff this year.
Yeah.
So we planted about 5 acres of potatoes, we'll see. Yeah, we were kind of thinking that the new place might have been opened a little sooner because deep fryer, so we planted a bunch of tomatoes or potatoes this year, and that was potato salad, everybody loved it. So it worked out. We didn't get no deep fryer, but we got potato salad.
A lot of potatoes.
It's a lot of potato salad. We sold 50 pounds last weekend.
For carry?
No, just for people that are there. Goes out on every dish, man. It's nuts. I was happy to find a worker on it. We're selling fresh fries. He's like, what kind of potatoes? I'm like, Kennebec. The farmer working for like 2 months to find us organic Kennebec potatoes. And then we're like, we're not doing a deep fryer yet. So
you gotta play it out there.
Yeah. We got like 5.5 acres of hops, 6.5 acres of a working garden, regular peppers, tomatoes and all that. And then they did sweet potatoes, Yukons.
Ringler always been pretty solid. You know, you could talk to him.
We did with, so we built a greenhouse system, which was all the trees that we got from different people. He dug a big hole, put a greenhouse over it, and then they lined it with the tree logs and all that stuff. So, and then it keeps it hot with wood, and a wood burner that's in there, and then the logs actually absorb all the heat, and then they hold it for the night. So, and that's what kept our tomato plants, that's how we got 400 tomato plants. You guys come out and see me, if I'm not busy, I'll always see you. I get Patrick out for a walk, because I can come see what we're doing. Yeah, it's super cool, some of the projects.
Are you certified? How long? It takes a long time to get certified.
Yeah, we are certified organic. We go through, it's a 3-year process. So they grew bell peppers there originally. In 2009, my time was certified in 2004. That was when they started the brainchild of Joe and growing hops. And then, so then they went through that process, how they all started. And then that's what we opened.
I'm pretty sure it take a long time. I'm pretty sure it take a long time.
Well, this Smack has done a very poor job of presenting. It seems to me that's their job.
It's got a dial back, everything's got to run itself out, leach out, and all that.
This side, the solution, something
Like we have other farmers that actually spray, and they fly over. And like, if most of us there, they can get mad at us because he goes too far. So we've had to call him, like, you can't do that, we're a certified organic farm. And that's all they do, all the time. Turn around and anything leaks.
Oh, yeah.
We have to keep it back, so we have 178 acres, but we don't do all of it all. So we let Joel actually plant his corn. There's a lot of people corn that did that on my last year. And then we kind of rebid a little bit more and lower the release a little.
So would it take, a 3-year isn't hard, but it's a minimum.
Yeah.
Another farm might take for 6 years.
So they said that's so money. All depends what was there, how it's managed, and what your recommendations. So we get it's individual certification. The assessment. And then they come and they check us every year, for a giant audit. We have to keep it, we have to breathe every year, everything. Like just because it says it's certified organic, doesn't mean it is either. You have to have 3 different certifications. They have to be certified, and they go back to the ball.
Well, you could ask them, well, why didn't you say something before? They were getting $30 a year behind.
And said they were organic,
yeah.
they were just plants, they just grew some wildflowers, and they said you can't put it as a certified, so they decertified our section. Didn't do anything for our food, it literally was on the promenade where they walked so we could go see green flower. And that was
So is there one certification or three?
So there's one for us,
You know,
and then there's different certifications.
and they have it here.
Depending on what you're doing, you know.
I'm not sure they know what they're talking about.
The FDA, the EPA,
Yeah.
there's, they'll see what you're talking about. Has a little rule.
Yeah.
It's not the state.
There's states involved too. You know, so basically you just pick which law is the most stringent and you follow that one. You know, so if the EPA says that it's more stringent here, you gotta follow the EPA, and then if the state says it's more stringent here, you gotta follow the state. You know, so you just gotta kind of.
They spot test you unannounced or?
Yeah, they'll come out and just do it, they send people out, and then you get an announced one, but it's at least 3 days, the farmers, if they're talking to the guy, show them 8-hour days, just show them paperwork, go through it, the bigger you are. Don't use it.
I know it. Oh.
There's a couple old farmers that they still follow the practices, but they don't get certified. So we can, that's why our beer is certified and our garden is certified, but I can't certify my food. Or the other, I use organic products.
We were
but
using
I
type,
can't
yes.
always get organic
We were
products.
still typing our reports on the typewriter with
Even our beer certified and in this process, we're certified. So we put it on report certified and then we'll.
Bob was done
We'll
all
change the label, this is
Next
certified.
83.
It's a process.
Correct.
And we go-
Ding, ding.
To correct it.
That was our records. Yeah.
Janice says he heard rumors that there's only a city hall up to the Circle Drive building.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, right, yeah. You heard it here first.
Well, they wanted to be out of this building. But I don't see everything else just.
Yeah, it's a flat roof building, and they had to replace the
That's what he was
roof.
referring to.
It's no architectural marvel. It's kind of an ugly building.
Probably pretty solidly built.
Yeah.
Has sprinklers. I guess the traffic. Radars, like they do with that. Cars have made a mechanical.
Did you bring any cigars from Scottsdale?
No, it's all been used.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't be taking enough in for the troops at the end.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just the way you keep it fair.
Well, I had to go out and
Guy
rescue
me
those two guys.
With the
Really
hook.
bring some.
I had to go out and rescue those two guys.
Oh, really? It looks like they needed rescue.
I know.
Hey, whatever makes him feel good.
Exactly, you got
The
it.
guy with the bum knee had to help with,
Yeah, and you're still here.
No, he has.
You got some stains.
He's got new knees. That's right, he's an
I only got one.
Oh, we know how to do it. So when he takes off running, he's just running.
You lost somebody.
He's coming.
Can't get rid of him that easy.
Thank you for sticking around.
I mean, really mean.
Thank you. This is how it works. Thank you for saying that. Are you sure you want me to stick around?
That's why I wake up.
I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen
We
you.
were going to others all this
No,
time.
Fred.
Let's go wrap your blankets in there.
Figured it out.
I went like a minute before the meeting started to grab the sweater.
Here it comes.
Okay, someone like to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion to return to open session.
thank you, is there support?
This is money I'll support.
Roll call, please.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
You're open.
Thank you. Someone like to make a motion to authorize the city manager?
I move to authorize city manager and administration to take action pursuant to closed session discussion.
Thank you. Is there support?
This is money I support.
Roll call, please.
Money,
Yes.
Swem,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Okay, moving down to communications.
So I would like to share publicly an update that the city has purchased a piece of real property at 708 Red Bed Trail, more commonly known as Baroda Tire 2, for the sum of $131,055.85. The intention of that property is to demolish it in addition to the demolition of the old feed mill site, so that both locations are available for redevelopment opportunities and better enhanced economic development within the community.
Thank you. Do you have another one?
Yes, we do also have a communication that has been recently in the newspaper. I wanted to share that the Berrien County Administration met with myself and others on staff over the past several weeks, and again, just recently last week with us and Senator Kim Lasada to discuss a potential collaboration that would involve the county acquiring the AEP building. It was our understanding there was initially going to be a vote last Thursday. Unfortunately, there was a fatality for the county staff, so that delayed that meeting, but that is still my understanding, the intention to move forward with the finalization of a sale from AEP of the structure to Berrien County. And part of that includes the opportunity for the city of Buchanan to become a partner in that we would have a chance to move our city hall operations into the second floor of the building with a lobby, a small portion of a lobby on the first floor. There's also an opportunity to possibly move the police department into that location as well. The police department end is not, I wouldn't say less likely, but potentially less likely, because they're still assessing whether they think the floor plan will accommodate both city hall accommodations as well as police department accommodations. The third floor of the facility is going to house county operations for 911 dispatch as well as county emergency management. It's a really great collaboration with AEP, who is reserving an interest in the property so that they can utilize the structure as it was intended for in the event of a nuclear issue or other electric related emergency, that their staff could congregate there outside of the 10-mile zone of the nuclear plant and continue AEP operations.
Great, thank you. Moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. Anyone have any public comments? Please make your way to the podium, state your name for the minutes.
Hey, did I see your name on the sample ballot out there?
Yeah, he is. He's in precinct 1 as a delegate.
It was over here. Sorry, we got too rowdy.
Tried to put it back.
Well, I'm on 311 Restaurant Street in Buchanan. It is a sad day in Buchanan when we have to suspect that detours were set on the streets of Buchanan on primary election day to discourage people from going to the polls and voting. But since the Zuckbucks at the November 2020 election, some of us don't trust that our absentee ballots will be properly counted and will be voting at the polls. But here is a suspicious plot being put up to our going to the polls and voting. Here now, the city commission should adopt a policy of no detours on election day. I think there's a warm place in hell awaiting these Zucked people and their allies for our denying us the right to a free and honest vote in violation of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment?
What?
Nope. I said thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Norma?
Yes. Did you expect anything like?
No.
Norma Ferris, 304 North Road. I have heard, and I received the answer from what I have heard tonight, but I don't like it. What I have heard tonight is swings are more important than streets. 14 months. That I cannot get through there and the resident has to walk the door or to Redmond. 14 months. But you can go out, put swings on. Explain to me.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to executive comments, city manager comments.
So I want to thank those who stuck around. I want to thank Mr. Lisi for some, again, dedication to our archival room. We mentioned this earlier, but you weren't in attendance, so since you're in attendance this evening, Peter, I want to thank you sincerely for all that you're doing to assist us back there. It's been instrumental in several of our operations to find some of the materials you've helped us locate. Also just making sure that we're preserving historically items that are important for our heritage for Buchanan, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate those who are able to maintain their composure and speak with respect and kindness, so thank you everyone who abides by that. I think it's vital. We are the nicest place in America, but beyond that, civil discourse requires people to treat each other with civility, so thank you to those who do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Whedon?
I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Swam?
No comments.
Mr. Money? That's good.
Don't forget to vote.
If you can get through the detour.
If you can get through the detour, don't forget to vote.
City Hall.
And have your picture taken on a sign.
I don't wanna have the comments either, but
I don't know what I'm gonna say. First, Norma, I agree with you. I don't know what else to say. I'm as frustrated as you are that that street is still blocked off and not where it should be. But I won't apologize for keeping other things moving, because we have to keep other things going. So we have to keep doing what we can. Selge has really let us all down. I mean, I don't even know what to say other than I don't think we'll use them again.
I just say there won't be any more contracts. I can tell you that.
I'm a resident, I will talk to him.
I'll give you their number.
Anytime she needs a ride.
I'm really, really proud of the work that this commission has done. It took me a long time to decide whether I wanted to run again because of the kind of crap that we have to put up with, like we did tonight. It makes it really, really hard to want to come to these meetings when you're getting screamed at by someone who is misinformed or uninformed. But it's really important what we're doing, and that's why I decided to run again. And I also don't want Dan on this board.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm there. Can't work. So, thank you all for coming. Thank you for sticking around. Someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make said motion.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Roll call, please.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Your turn.
Hey,
I'm
I'm sorry, I didn't give him that idea.
You said it out loud, they heard you.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, you're gonna do that one?
You may have your police department where I used to park my bicycle.
Well, this